not only is the migrant crisis in this violent Venezuelan gang, which is called Tren de Aragua, I think I'm saying it the correct way. Correct me if I'm wrong inside of the chat. Um, First, we want to highlight how it appears that the DC area is now being taken over, not just New York, not just Chicago, not just Colorado, but they've also, in addition to the DC area, taken over and is being identified as a gang that has taken over a movement in over 16 different cities. Check it out.
Well, 7 News covering Fairfax County now, where suspected members of a violent Venezuelan gang considered more powerful than police in South America have reportedly arrived. Our Tom Rousey investigated and finds out what they're accused of already doing here in Tysons.
Back in summer 2023, 3 men allegedly came here to the Tysons Galleria and committed grand larceny by stealing from some of the high-end stores. Now, that wouldn't normally make the news, but it is now making the news because of what we've recently learned about those 3 suspects and their alleged ties to a violent Venezuelan gang. According to court records, these 3 men in their 20s came down from New York and were captured by Fairfax County police with $9,000 of stolen merchandise in their car. Court records list a witness.
They all got white beaters and t-shirts on too. I wonder if they're wearing black Air Force Ones.
$1,000 of stolen merchandise in their car. Court records list a witness at the Neiman Marcus at the Tysons Galleria, as well as another witness at the Gucci store at that same high-end mall.
Sounds like they know they did the difference between the ones that they should get and they shouldn't get. They just learning from us. And then they bring in their culture over here, and now they infiltrated and they let all of their jails out over in Venezuela. And Trump was absolutely right. And now what they're doing is they're overwhelming authorities over here in the United States of America in areas where they shouldn't be in the first place.
Those witnesses were there as the men allegedly committed grand larceny. Tuesday, Fairfax County Police Chief Kevin Davis said on 7 News, the men have suspected ties to a violent Venezuelan gang named TDA for Tren de Aragua.
They weren't necessarily committing traditional gang-related crimes, extortion, aggravated assault, robberies, but they were stealing.
Tren de Aragua operated out of this Venezuelan prison for years. The gang basically ran things to the point where it installed a swimming pool and even restaurants.
Okay, this is my first time seeing this video, so I'm seeing it for the first time just like you guys. You got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. Hold on.
Ran things to the point where it installed a swimming pool and even restaurants at the prison. The gang is considered more powerful than police in Venezuela, and it has made its way to the United States, where alleged members have committed violence, such as shooting at police officers in New York City.
What? No wonder they let them all out of prison.
So far in our area,
we're not seeing any violence associated with them yet. We want to keep it that way.
This week, the New York Post reported it had obtained a memo that specifically warns police in Virginia that the gang has come there and also has members living in D.C. The memo says the gang was allegedly connected to immigrants exploited into forced labor in, quote, Northwest Virginia. Now, as for the 3 suspected of stealing in Fairfax County, court records show all 3 had previous charges in New York, and all 3 were released in Virginia and then either didn't show up to court or violated pretrial release terms, and they are all listed as fugitives.
I can't cross the street. Lord knows I can't jaywalk. I could probably jaywalk in my own city at this point. Man, look. I remember back when I was 21. I had got a warrant for my arrest on a suspended license. Man, the stuff that I had to go through in order to get myself, and I didn't even know that my license was suspended at the time, was insane. And that was 21, 22 years ago. But I'm telling you that I had some problems. And they had took my stuff. And I was like, man, well, how am I supposed to get around? Until I got that junk resolved. These people is moving from state to state, city to city, stealing, getting released, beating up police officers, all kind of stuff. But let's capitalize off of something that the New York Post said. They are allegedly now operating in well over 16 cities and continuing to mobilize.
And we are following a breaking news alert this Sunday morning as it relates to Venezuelan gangs. It's probably not the first time you've heard about the concern as it relates to Venezuelan gangs and, of course, border security. We've heard about this as it relates to states like New York, also Texas, but we're finally hearing about it in the Sunshine State. Take a look at your screen. This coming in on X with Florida Republican Representative Bernie Jacques. He put out, "Today I sent a letter to our Florida Department of Law Enforcement Commissioner to ask about the steps Florida is taking to protect us from the violent Venezuelan gang." He goes on to say these thugs are allowed to enter our country by the Biden-Harris regime. Joining us live this morning to further discuss is none other than Florida Republican Representative Bernie Jacques. Bernie, good morning. A pleasure to have you join us on the show.
Uh-oh, black man, that's a Republican. Uh-oh, sound the alarm. You know they don't like it when you Republican. You know all right, he don't get no support. You can forget it. Hey, notice how, I'm gonna just say something about the culture. You know how the culture always say that they want representation? And then they say, well, how come we don't have more representation inside of this, inside of that? All right, you got more representation inside of the Republican Party, and you know what they call us? Sellouts.
Janae, thanks for having me.
So I know when you put this out on X, for many people, it was alarming because they're saying, okay, we've heard about this in Texas. We've heard about this in the Big Apple of New York City. We never thought we would hear about this in the Sunshine State of Florida. Let's go back in time. What brings us to this point? And of course, this concern that you have.
Well, what brings us to this point, going back since 2021, when the Biden-Harris regime took over the White House, they've let the open borders become a thing. Not only the open borders, but government-sponsored flights into the interior of our country. And with those invasion-type policies, a lot of unsavory individuals were also let in, including violent thugs, gang members, particularly from this gang called Tren de Aragua, TDA for short. And so what spurred my action to send this letter to our great Commissioner of Florida Department of Law Enforcement is the memo, the internal memo from the Department of Homeland Security that is now public, saying that this gang has a foothold in 16 states across our nation. And so I made sure to reach out to see what Florida is doing to make sure that we are being proactive to continue to secure our state as we've done for many years now.
You know how hard it is to get people to show up for something that's positive, and these people are able to mobilize in 16 states? You know how difficult it is to actually get people to do something that's productive all together? It's very difficult. You know what you got to do? You got to bring out Beyonce, or you got to bring out Kelly Rowland or Usher in order to get people to mobilize and get people to follow up and show up. Or you got to get Keith Lee to go to the restaurant. Other than that, it's very difficult. And these people have set up shop in over 16 states throughout this one administration. Didn't even exist here in the United States of America prior to 2020. Not in a set up shop in 16 states.
Absolutely. And when people think about why this is so important, they might think to recent court cases where you have illegal immigrants who are accused of raping women in broad daylight in parks. You think of drug smuggling, all of these different things. And from what you're saying, you're trying to keep that from happening here in Florida.
Absolutely. Florida has led the nation when it comes to cracking down on illegal immigration. We've led the nation and making sure that folks know we are a law and order state. And that's something we're going to continue to.
Right. Or a Diddy party. Everybody wanted to go to a Diddy party. Now I don't know why they want to go to the Diddy party. Okay.
But we cannot rest on our laurels. We must always be proactive and to look at every potential gap that may exist in order to continue to keep our state safe.
Speaking of law and order, Bernie, this is going to take a community effort. I know you always share, if you see something, say something. Is there an anonymous way that community members can do so? Because as you can imagine, this is very concerning. And for some people, this is a scary time, and they want to be able to report something they see in an anonymous way so that retaliation doesn't potentially happen.
When did we start becoming risk averse when it came to holding the people that's doing the worst things in our communities accountable? No, no, no. I want you to know that I'm gonna call the police on you. As a matter of fact, the first thing that I'm gonna say when I see somebody doing something that they're not supposed to do, hey, call the police, man. Hey, I'm calling the police. Hey, bro, hey, call the police, bro. We not having this. I want you to know. I want you to know that I'm gonna call the police because you are doing something. Oh man, I can't believe you telling. Yep, yep. You're not gonna be over here, and I'm gonna give you an explanation. You're not gonna be over here ruining the property values, bro. Hey man, I got a daughter. What you doing over there? Hey, call the police. Why would I be trying to be anonymous? I want you to know that when you come to this block, the police is getting called. When you come to this neighborhood, the police is, hey, you're not supposed to be over here. Hey, what's going on? I walked in my building the other day. I thought I seen somebody dusty. When I walked in my building the other day, I thought I seen somebody dusty. I started talking to the concierge. I said, "Hey, what's going on right here?" He said, "Oh, they just walked in. They just walked in because they was walking down and they never been in here before. So they was asking because they said that they never seen this building before." I said, "Okay, all right. I need an explanation. I want to know what's going on. Uh, let's make sure that they don't get through. They're not asking for a tour, are they?" He said, "No, no." He started laughing. He said, "No, they're not asking for a tour." Okay, okay, okay. No, nothing dusty. No, no pants sagging. No, none of that. It's against the rules. What? They don't speak English. We don't got no translators in this building. It's different over here. Yeah, either way. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. I am not, when I see something that's out of place, I see a car keep made one too many circles. Hmm. Hey, make sure you capture that license plate. If I see something, out of order, hey, they've been parked down there a little bit too long. They sitting in the car. They having a conversation. What's going on down there? Okay, all right, all right. Let's get somebody on that though, because we don't want people loitering. Hey, don't that sign say no parking? What's going on over here? Oh, yeah. Okay, all right, all right. Got to keep the property values up. Because this building has not been a building that received any subsidies or tax incentives.